Chapter 6 Life of Leon. As the reader previously gave a brief indulgence, let us now take a look at the life of Leon Davis, whose presence and character are essential to this epic. Leon Davis was born in 1972 in Park Place, a neighborhood of Norfolk comprised of row houses and perhaps its oldest existing district. Leon's mother gave birth to him in their home. He never knew how many brothers and sisters he had, or which one of the children in the neighborhood were kindred. There were a few men Leon thought of as his father, men he would see at his home every now and then. On occasion, one of these men would stop and take an interest in young Leon, imparting to him some lessons. You need to be strong in order to survive, one man said to Leon at the tender age of 7. Kindness is weakness. Stay on guard against anyone you don't know, especially the police. You have to protect yourself, because no one else will. Leon cannot remember a single instance of affection being bestowed upon him, but he was grateful, nonetheless, that these men about 27 to 28 years of age took the time to show him the ropes in life and toughen him up. As a child, Leon was exceptionally successful in school, though the other children taunted him relentlessly. One day, Leon became angry at a teacher due to some small trifle, only important to very young children. His teacher attempted to calm him down, but Leon spontaneously called her a bitch in front of the whole class. After this incident, Leon's classmates treated him with respect. He enjoyed the feeling and did all he could to chase after it from there on out. By age 13, Leon was participating in large-scale drug distribution. His natural sharp intellect, muscular physique, and firm jawline made him stand out. People saw Leon as someone they could benefit from. At Murray High, Leon was known as the kid who had it for sale. Everything could be found on the informal market, not just narcotics. While in school, however, Leon's main source of income was still drugs. He sold to other students as well as faculty members. Secret lives are led by all walks of life. Leon's usefulness in this capacity kept him from dropping out. Leon was intelligent. He could have easily slipped by scholastically with the slightest amount of diligence. This was not the obstacle to the completion of his high school education. Leon was endowed with a natural sense of self-awareness. He knew he was not like the people that were successful in legitimate society. He always felt like his body and mind were out of place, as if he existed in a parallel universe. But things began to change for him as a result of a chance occurrence on a particular day at school. Carelessly, Leon left his backpack unzipped. He grabbed the pack off the floor, slung it over his shoulder, and subsequently launched a large baggie of marijuana, which landed in the hallway in front of one of the assistant principals. Mr. Jepson looked at the baggie in bewildered disbelief. Jepson immediately picked up the marijuana and gave it to the school resource officer, a member of the Norfolk Police Department, assigned to permanent duty at the high school. Officer Bynum, take this please and test it, Jepson spoke with authority. Bring charges as appropriate, and Mr. Davis, you are suspended until further notice. To Officer Bynum, the substance was obviously marijuana from its odor. It was a fairly large baggie, filled with many tied-off smaller baggies of the same substance. This meant its purpose was not for personal use, but for distribution. Bynum knew the extent of the drug trade. He knew it wasn't just the lowlifes of society that were its consumers. He saw his role as a law enforcement officer, not to end crime, but simply to keep it within reasonable bounds. Justice, to him, if it existed at all, was merely incidental to maintaining order. Crime is an essential part of human nature, Bynum one day found himself thinking. The only way to completely end crime would be to destroy every last human being on the planet. Too much crime is an evil, yes, but so is too much law enforcement. Officer Bynum called Leon back to school to confront him about the incident in his school resource officer's room. Leon sat himself pensively in the chair in front of Officer Bynum's desk. To Leon, Bynum represented everything he feared and hated, despite the fact that Bynum always presented a pleasant nature towards him throughout his enrollment. Mr. Davis, Bynum started in, you're a young man. You just turned 18 a few weeks ago. I've watched you for the last 4 years in this school. I know the life you lead and the things you do here. It is nothing less than a miracle that you have not been arrested before. This is a testament to your cunning and perhaps some sort of providence looking out for you. Because you're not like the other kids from your neighborhood. You stand out, you pick up on things quickly, incorporating new ideas into yourself with ease. Leon stared blankly at Officer Bynum while he was speaking, believing it to be nothing more than a condescending lecture. Bynum continued, which is why, Leon, I'm very relieved to have gotten the lab tests back for the substance in question. I thought it was marijuana for sure. Therefore, I would have to have would have to have had to charge you with with distribution on school property, expelling you from school with not even a month left to go before graduation. Turns out, though, the substance was nothing more than oregano. Leon stared at this. Leon was startled at this last sentence. He had listened to Bynum's monologue up until that point, with the contempt of a guilty man awaiting sentencing. He began to mutter something inaudibly before Bynum cut him off. Listen, I don't know why you thought it would be a good joke to play on old man Jepson, but you better count your blessings and lay low for the next month, so you can make it out of here. We all get breaks we don't deserve in life, Leon. It's called grace. But these breaks don't come very often, so don't mess it up. You see, sometimes, as a police officer, it's more equitable to simply look the other way. People need protection from criminals as well as institutions. But not everyone thinks this way, Leon. You understand me? Leon gazed at Officer Bynum in perplexity for a few seconds before he got up and departed. Without him fully being aware of it, a new world had opened in Leon's mind, a world that seemed infinitely more complex than the previous one he had known. Leon made the resolution to jump from the illicit society to the legitimate. And what better way for him to do that than to become a police officer? Though he was able to finish high school without issue, getting out of the criminal organization he was a part of would be more challenging. Leon worked for serious criminals who operated without the flash and notoriety of mainstream gang life. He worked as a free agent, that is, he was not a typical gang member, but still had the mystique of one in his community. Members of the organization brought Leon in because of his fierce individuality. Leon himself did not know the name of the organization he put in work for, but he knew the only way out was likely death. Looking at this fact philosophically, Leon merely shrugged his shoulders, saying to himself, if they kill me, they kill me. Life is short either way. He used the cash he had saved up for himself to rent an apartment in Titustown, then enrolled in the Norfolk Police Academy. However, in his nightmares, he saw shadow figures appearing from the void. Leon easily graduated from the academy given his natural physical and mental abilities. He found police work to be confusing. He was exposed to people living lifestyles he had hitherto never known to exist. Layers and layers of existence stacked upon each other, over the same physical plane. But Officer Davis was resilient in the face of obstacles, and he was also relieved that no one seemed to be coming after him from his past. Late one night, Davis found himself in his police car while stopped at the intersection of Lafayette and St. Denis. Another police vehicle pulled another police vehicle pulled up alongside him from the opposite direction, down the one-way street Davis was coming off of, so that the two driver's side windows of the vehicles were only a couple feet from each other. Davis and the other driver both rolled down their windows. Davis didn't recognize the other officer, which was not a surprise given the size of the Norfolk Police Department. Taking in the other officer's features at a glance, Davis saw his tanned skin, dark, straight hair, nicely combed, with some pomade to hold it in place, and a few strands falling over his unwrinkled forehead. The officer had dark eyes and white teeth, wearing a standard issue NPD uniform. Good evening, Officer Davis, the officer greeted, with a slight Spanish accent. Oh, hey, how's it going, man? Davis replied, in an ordinary manner. What's up? So, you thought we would forget about you, Leon? The officer posed, with a malicious smile across his face. Davis was startled. He tried to glean the officer's name from his tag on the front of his uniform, but it was missing. "I'm sorry, officer," Davis responded, hesitantly. "What did you say your name was again?" "Ah, how foolish is human nature, to believe in appearances," the mystery officer slyly remarked, in a slightly heavier Spanish accent this time. "You see the uniform and the car, and you instantly trust me to be a police officer. But it is easy to acquire such things, just clothes and car paint. That's all. No, I have come here as a demon from your past, but I'm not here to kill you. What I have come for is to make you an offer." Davis listened with intensity, sweat trickling down his brow. The man continued to speak. "Your mind and your body are far too valuable to waste, but rest assured, waste them we will, if we have to. Instead, we prefer for you to work for us again, through your capacity as a police officer." Davis's eyes gradually opened wider by slight increments, as the phantom officer spoke terrible words, terror pooling in the pit of his stomach. Nevertheless, Davis maintained himself, replying confidently, "You want me to sell drugs as a police officer? To take advantage of the weak? To become a crooked cop? I assume you just kill me now, if that's your intention." "Oh, very nice," replied the apparition. "You have courage and principles. Even better. No, you see, what we'd like you to do is actually arrest criminals, just as you always would." Davis stared with curiosity. "You see, Officer Davis," continued the faux officer, "criminal syndicates, the professional ones at least, are vast and complex. You do not know who I am. You do not know who I work for. You do not understand my intentions. But it would serve us in a variety of ways to have certain people arrested for certain crimes we know they will be committing at certain times. I can feed you tips, Davis, and you can make legitimate arrests. You can take real criminals off the street, and you can move up quickly through the ranks of the force." These last comments struck Davis harder than the others, because they plucked the cord of his ambition. "So, exactly what are you requesting of me?" "All I ask is that you make yourself available to my tips. Investigate them as best you can. That is to say, if someone contacts you with some piece of information or some location to be at, you follow it up, you investigate, and you keep your eyes and ears open. Then you do what you've been hired to do as a police officer. Make an arrest if you see a crime. This could lead to higher profile seizures, increasing your chances of making detective. And after that, who knows where you will go. And if I should decline, then, my friend, use your imagination. We will not kill you. That would be too easy, especially since we have gone through all the trouble to contact you in such an elaborate manner. Threats are scarier when they come from a fearful mind." The final statement the officer said with a menacing smile, before adding, "Oh, and by the way, Officer Davis, you shall know me by the name of Cortez." The phantom officer drove off into the night, vanishing like a chimera, leaving Davis alone with his thoughts. And imagine is exactly what Davis did over the next few months. The fear of the unknown weighed heavily upon his psyche. Who was this man? How much reach does he have? What could he entangle me in? Davis fretted to himself. Death is death. It is one thing, and it is something everyone must experience. But life has an infinite variety of horrors. The fear of being alone against an unknown, malevolent force kept Officer Davis from pursuing the phony police vehicle when it departed. It kept Davis from investigating who Cortez might be. It spurred him to follow up with the strange tips he would have otherwise ignored. Davis approached his new reality with a sense of unease and moral discomfort. Gradually, however, Davis came to see it as being inherently no different from any other form of police work. He gathered intelligence from the community and from confidential informers to catch bad guys. His unique circumstances only made police work riskier, not immoral. Davis never knew for sure if he was being set up on a double cross on any one of these tips, but his ambition was greater than his fear. Significant busts were made. The accolades came in. Promotions were earned. Davis reveled in his success in the department. He started out as a burglary detective, making it out of uniform patrol. His skills quickly advanced him into robbery, then homicide, and then the Special Victims Unit. He was dazzled by his success. Up until joining the force, Davis was a delinquent. Now, he was a respected member of the Norfolk City Police Department. He accepted the complexities and moral ambiguities of existence while embracing uncertainty. And on one day in early June of 2002, Davis was seated at his desk when his phone rang. Answering, he heard a voice. "Davis, it's Cortez." The voice on the other end of the speaker shook Davis so badly he almost fell out of his chair. Up until that point, Davis hadn't heard that voice since his one and only meeting, Cortez preferring to send subtle messages through intermediaries. Davis wondered sometimes if the whole event that night hadn't taken place in some sort of parallel reality, perhaps just a trick other officers had played on a rookie. Hearing that voice, however, left no doubt in Davis's mind as to which reality that event had taken place in. "Yes, this is Detective Davis. Be at the corner of Buckingham and Powhatan tonight, no later than 2 a.m., Cortez said. "Stay there in an unmarked vehicle, as hidden from common observation as possible. Then wait, patiently. You will know when to act." Cortez abruptly hung up the phone. "Buckingham and Powhatan," Davis muttered to himself. "That's Larchmont. What the hell would he have me doing in Larchmont at 2 a.m.? The ominous feeling Davis got when he had last spoken with Cortez returned to the pit of his stomach. Intuitively, Davis knew some great event was about to transpire, but it was still only 4 in the afternoon. Davis turned over the conversation with Cortez in his mind. His endless speculation led him almost into a state of madness. He could focus on no other task. He sat at his desk, staring out the window, sometimes getting up to pace around the office. He ate nothing and talked to no one. The minutes passed like hours and the hours like eons. But finally, the moment had arrived. Davis looked at his watch. 1:30 a.m. "Time to depart for Larchmont," Davis said to himself, grabbing his coat as he flew down the stairs and out to his vehicle. Arriving near the corner of Buckingham and Powhatan at about 1:52 a.m., he parked a little way back on Buckingham, so his field of vision was facing directly towards Powhatan Avenue, which came through perpendicular to the terminal point of Buckingham. "Good, I'm early," he thought. Detective Davis settled in with the car turned off, gradually getting colder as the weather front pushed the cool night air into his vehicle, as if March had one last score to settle with June, in darkness, under a moonless sky with stars. Alone, he shuddered, imagining every dancing shadow to be the apparition of Cortez, his deep, reflective eyes open to their widest in awful anticipation. After what seemed like an eternity, a car appeared from the abyss and parked a couple 100 feet in front of Davis. It was 2:17 a.m. A young man and woman, dressed nicely and looking a little tipsy, emerged from the vehicle, joining arms as they entered one of the dwellings on Powhatan Avenue. "This must have something to do with it," Davis said to himself through clenched teeth. "But Cortez said I will know when it is time to act. And at this point, I still know nothing." And the watch continued until almost 5 a.m., when a voice came through on his radio. "Any units currently located in the Larchmont area, please respond."